Let me bring my mic. Then we're going to focus on action planning, right? Number 3, action planning is important because after you know what these things are, you have to be able to set up rituals, set up routines, set up schedules to go and do these things. And then 4, we had to build a practice to be able to master those things, work towards mastery, build consistency, also just like work through how we consume information so we know if, hey, we're spending 3 or 4 hours watching something or doing something that we shouldn't be doing. Why don't we spend and redirect that energy into some practice? We might not have feedback loops already built in, so we need to be able to work through those things. We might not have an actual rhythm during the week, the days, weeks, and months, so we might need to be able to operate towards that. We don't know what we don't know unless we've scored ourselves and worked through those things. So remember, go into the next level UX training system. Make sure you score yourself across tools, people, system, and then you'll know what you actually need to go focus and work on based on your score. So it takes a quick second, but just want to make sure that you are actually doing it. And then I'm going to shift gears over into Figma. Let me come over to Figma and boom. If you don't remember what Figma is a screen design tool. If you didn't yet know, we use Figma all the time for mapping out systems, for organizing complexity and building out user experiences and screen design experiences. But today I'm using it for also practice and educational purposes so that you can just be set up for success in your builds. Let's go. So we focus on purpose, priorities, opportunities, how we want to show up in our identity, what interaction success looks like. We work through different topics of our focus areas. We thought about days, weeks, and months and how we're going to operate this year. We learned about these primary systems. I just was repeating these things again. Systems, schedules, rituals, routines. You'll hear that a lot from me. And then we also looked at our goals, and you got those listed as well. And some of these things got moved. Boom. Okay, there we go. Then we talked about energy, talked about the flow and how you're having low effort, high effort, what you're doing Monday through Sunday. And then we talked about actually the project that you have and how to do some simple action planning for that. We came up with 5 different core things that you can do when you're working through a new project and just getting it going. But now today, we're going to focus on practice excellence. Let me move this a little over right there. Boom. So what is practice excellence? So you do not need to rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. A high performance creative training session. So today, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So I really want to encourage you to think about a new standard of operating for yourself, a new practical operating system for how you're going to show up and practice every week. What is that repeatable rhythm going to look like? How often are you going to do this during the summer? Summer is a great time to be able to practice these things. You got the beautiful months just straight ahead from you. It might be raining and doing whatever today, but think about June's coming and summer is going to be the best summer ever as long as we're practiced. We're ready to model the excellence, to do the thing. And we also need to be able to think about these immediate actions that we need to take when we're training every single day, or the deeper relationships that we need to build better practices around the things that we're doing. And I do want to put some emphasis on my core thesis of today is that most creators are failing because they don't practice. They practice inconsistency. They confuse consuming content with practicing. Learning and consuming content is not practicing. You're just consuming, you're not doing any inputs. Remember we talked about inputs and outputs? You're not outputting anything if you're just consuming information. They lack also intentional repetition. We need intentional repetition over and over and over. That's like building the reps. They never design their operating system. You have these computers that will tell you what to do, but you are not designing how you want to operate them in your team, in your family, resources or sports teams or anything that you do. You need to build the operating system for how you're going to show up. They do not know how to compound skill acquisition. These 3 things I was writing down. I was doing some research around this with one of my old colleagues at Growth Day. His name was Danny Southwick. Danny Southwick is a PhD in positive psychology. He also is an arena football quarterback, and he incredibly researched on what drives people in positive psychology. You can develop a skill, you can develop an ability, and you can develop a gift. And the gift might be something like the universe or God or whoever gave you a gift And it is the gift of maybe it's your special ability. It's that special spark that drives you in different ways. And the ability is something that you're going to practice over and over so that you can increase your maturity from good to great to excellence. And you're just going to keep working that skill and keep developing it and keep making it better and better. So think about, I want you to write down talent, and then under the word talent, I'm going to get you to think skill, ability, and gift, because we're going to focus on improving those things today. And we're going to focus on making sure that we're not just going to take a back seat in our personal development or in our professional development or in how we're going to get better every single day, because it's a decision, it's a choice, and we get to make that choice today. So let's shift gears and start thinking about how we're going to do this. I want you to be an elite creator. I want you to be the best creator that any people that you work with, they're going to come to you and they'll be like, this person is the best that I've ever worked with. I want to hear that over and over. And to do that, we have to raise our standards for how we practice. So how do we do that? So most people think of practice, and I'll go through these one by one just so we can take our time. So most people think about these practices that they're just going to try hard. They're going to try harder. I'm going to show up. I'm going to just be a try hard. But just because you're a try hard doesn't mean you're putting all this energy into something, but doesn't mean you have to at the time. So be strategic, be aimed, be calculated with how you're going to end up showing up to practice something. Another thing is, you don't want to be the person that just repeats a bunch of random things, that you're just doing it because you saw somebody do it, but you're not doing it because it's actually the right thing for you to actually be doing. So when you're working through, let me just check this through. So when you're working through this element of repeating something randomly or working through that, we don't want to be that person. We also don't want to be just consuming content or watching tutorials and just doing that, but not actually putting any practice in. So the real practice is thinking about intentional repetition, feedback loops, reflection practices, measurable improvements, and system refinements. So these are the things that we'll be doing and practicing, and I want you to get used to and comfortable with on a regular basis. So just even inside of Figma, you can ask Figma now with just Command P, you can make an image or edit an image. And I was just pulling down when we're different ways to think about how practice is repetition with awareness. So you're aware of what you need to practice and you're going through it. Nano Banana inside of Figma was really thinking today about the piano practice and the details of having to learn different keys and instruments. Another example was thinking about you're going to the gym randomly and just doing random things, or are you in a very structured way where, every day between a certain period of time, you're going to go and work through and practice mindfulness or a walk or doing something that actually has a little bit more higher awareness. Same thing if you're an artist and you're working through, you start out and you're just learning something from scratch, you don't know how to do it. But remember, repetition and getting practice in on these things is going to help you become a better executor of that. Same thing with pottery, to showing the juxtaposition of mindless repetition versus mindful practice. Our practice, again, in the details of how you do this, the art of doing this work is you're not just stacking bowls, you're actually thinking about how something is designed and why it's designed like that. That's how it's not just the ability for you to create a new artifact. You're really thinking about the overall system of how it's all interplays. And then I was also looking at this example of this woman playing piano, and you can go through different cycles of the morning, nighttime, and evening time, and then you start to feel a little bit more confident, and you're sitting up in your seat a little bit better, and you're getting a little bit better posture, and then you work through and you're building more confidence in the skill, and then all of a sudden you realize that now you're playing in front of people, or you're playing in front of imaginary people, or even you're playing in front of a large group of people. But you can go through these stages with these practices. It's just so critical that you understand that we all go through these evolutions, and we will all go through these parts. So I hope by the end of today, you just feel more confident about making practice a necessity, making it something that you're actually focused on when you're practicing and going through things every single week. Let's shift gears a little bit. We've worked through the foundations of why we should practice and the patterns of that. Let's look at these 5 different layers for how you can structure your practices. So the first one that I would say is building a clarity layer. There's different reasons why clarity is so important, but oftentimes people are just thinking about what actually is important right now that we can improve. Let me just zoom in a little bit. There we go. That's pretty good. So, a couple questions for you to start thinking about. So, what are you actually trying to improve? What does success look like? What skills matter most right now? And most creators practice too many things at one time. So, if you were just to focus on one thing a day, what would be that one thing that you would focus on today? And that's something you could start writing down and documenting as we speak. Another thing for the layer 2 is the repetition layer. So repetition is also important because most elite creators are thinking about repetition intentionally, and they want to reduce the friction, they want to create better rhythms, and they want to train consistently. So they're doing these 4 things on a regular basis, and it's just performance edge that you know that if you do these things, you're going to get better and better. But we don't want to flail random, right? So that's why we have clarity under that layer. The third layer here is thinking about feedback. So as you're thinking about feedback and working through, you got your clarity, your repetition, layer 3, feedback. With feedback, you're going to be able to react and learn what kind of things you need to pivot or iterate on. So without any feedback, practice becomes like just guessing. You're just guessing on what you should be doing, and you're just trying to move through the motions. But feedback is a gift. And we need to be able to have these rhythms where we're collecting feedback after certain things happen in your days or after certain moments. Sunday evening when you've got your journal are great times for reflecting on the feedback that's coming in. And then thinking about, okay, what kind of practices can I make around this feedback? And one of those things might be, I have a self-review, I have a peer review, which is you're giving somebody feedback and then they're giving you feedback. You're doing a self-review, you're doing a mentor review, you're doing AI assist review, which is you just talking to AI. You can talk to the chat in Pro and be able to do this, or you can just do a metrics review. Look at the data. Look what the data is telling you, and that can be a good way to be able to get some feedback. So layer 4, and we're building the layers and build layers, and I was just talking about this a second ago, which is reflection. The reflection layer is vital in practice because this actually helps create acceleration, because if you know where you need to be aimed, you don't have to have so much distance between the opportunity that you have in front of you, like the thing that you're trying to improve or the outcome that you're shooting for. It's going to be closer when you can see it better, and reflection helps you be able to see it better, and it helps you understand what worked, what slowed me down, what created energy from this, or what produced some measurable impact. What were the things that actually helped drive the learning lesson or the insight? And then the last one here on the standards, or the layer 5, is the standards. So what standards do you currently have? And reflection might create the standards. I mean, remove that, because this is so vital to understanding your standards. So your standards shape your future, right? What you allow, what you normalize, what you decide is okay and not okay. What's your quality bar? And remember that weak standards, they create weak systems. If you just allow Claude or Codex to just do anything and don't hold it to a certain standard, or even for your team or your family, if you don't hold the standards, there'll be weaker standards. It makes total sense. And then elite creators, they protect their quality. They protect their boundaries as well. So that quality is vital to having excellence. And I gotta say, the future is hidden inside your standards. And it's so important. Quality standards, quality future. Quality future means that you had quality systems from the get-go. So that's why we want to build those in and practice those things. All right, so now that we've shifted into, we got these 5 layers of practice excellence, we've looked at the different ways to think about repetition and how we can think about practice and working through practice. Now I want to shift your gear into thinking about what are some examples out there of creators in the industry. So we have athletes, think about designers, you could think about any different role or discipline. And as you have these different athletes, designers, musicians, founders, whoever, now, let me pull this back. And now we're thinking about what are some common grounds that we all have in common. We all have these certain things in common. We all have routines, things that we do every day. We'll all have the boundaries of repetition, things that we can decide to do or not to do. We'll all have the feedback, iterations. We'll be able to iterate through things head to toe, and we'll be able to also have intentional refinement, like deciding based on this feedback, based on these routines of what's working, what's not working, based on this feedback, good feedback, bad feedback, transparent, candid feedback, based on these latest iterations, based on this last intentional refinement we had, what am I going to practice? What am I going to work through? And how am I going to get better? And if I can think about this as a scale, remember that elite performance might look boring. It might look like I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. Or for a design system, I'd be like, I don't want to work in the same design library or design system, but there's a reason why there's these standards in place. On the inside, it's consistency, it's standards, it's repetition, it's performed at the high level for a long period of time. That's high performance, consistency over the long term, both with how we show up, how we execute, that really matters. It's true that most people wait, most people won't practice, they won't do the work, and then they'll come back in and they'll look at other high performers and be like, how do you do so much, or how do you get that stuff done? And it's because they built better systems. They thought about their rhythms. They thought about their standards. They held their standards high. They thought about the repetitive actions that they knew were going to compound week over week, day over day, month over month. They thought about and they reflected about the work that they were doing and how it could actually be better, and wanted to make it better, and they wanted to make themselves better. So remember that practice is how you design your future. And doing that is critical in this practice. So think about, well, what are you going to write today? We talked about clarity, we talked about consistency, we talked about standards and execution. And as you go through and as you work through the things, what are you going to practice today? Write on a piece of paper. You got some habits, you got some systems, rhythms, distractions, standards, whatever it is. Think about what it is that you're going to practice today and you're going to work through. Now, to do that, I want to shift over into Next Level UX and show you what you can write into your document and your frameworks to be able to start organizing this a little bit. So I'm going to share my screen and then I'm going to walk you through over there and show you. Here we go. There we go. So this is the Next Level UX. If I go to the dashboard, I'll show you. So you can go to the dashboard. We're in our practice session now. And then I'm going to head over to plans. And then I'm going to go to practice. So practice. There it is. And for practice today, we're going to look at these 5 core things that we're going to ask. So I want you to come in and here, I can share this with you. Share this link. So I shared it in the chat. And what this is all right. So it's a practice plan. So what I want you to do is I want you to create your own practice plan, and I want you to be able to go in and just document some of your sub items. So let's do some of that today. So I had a sub item called, what am I practicing today? So I'm practicing pitch and operator documents. So I'm practicing actually building those things out. I'm also practicing fitness and nature runs. I'm practicing getting better at that and learning about developing homesteads. And I want you to go ahead and make sure that you're filling out yours as well through this whole process. So important to be able to do it. So we got some there. Let's just go on to the next one. What does mastery look like? High standards, high growth standards that deliver value and model excellence. Very important to me. Then I'm going to say, because of the training that we did today, right? Consistency was one of the key words. Consistent. I'll do consistent reps, and I'm going to say prolific for my old buddy, Brendan. Prolific reps. Then I'm going to do big, bold, bodacious. If I can spell bodacious. Bodacious moves. Practice that. That's like mastery. And then I'm going to be like confident, prepared, accelerated. All right, now I'm going to move on to what is my daily rhythm. So it's like my daily rhythm's morning flow. I'm just going to write some keywords for me. You can write yours, keynote. So morning flow, afternoon flow, and I'm calling them flows because these are my rhythms, nature flow. And I'm just using keywords that I will remember and that I know. Action flow. And so I know in my practice every day I'm going to have a morning opportunities of things that I'm doing, accelerating things, my nature flow where I'm going to get out in the woods, do my reflections, do my activities, growth plans, my growth loops, stuff. Afternoon flow, I'm going to be supporting, probably going to soccer practice with Jude and then doing fitness and then also probably another run and activity. My action flow is going to be consisted of all the companies and operators that I'm supporting. What are the things that I'm doing to help with their actions and needle movers and moving them forward? And then what is my support flow? So all my friends, all the people that I need, that I care about, how am I best supporting and setting them up? Got it. And then I'm even going to, for my lovely wife, romantic flow, make sure I'm working for my beautiful wife. What feedback loop will I use? I will use my NLEX, I'm going to call it my NLEX system. I will do my growth day growth system. I will do my high performance products and design system. Oops. There we go. And I will do my social network connected system. Get feedback from customers. What standard will I refuse to compromise on? My fitness, mindset, nature, venture, design, maturity. I'm just putting keywords that I will remember that definitely resonate with me. So I just did a series of homework for asking my questions. Right now I need to think about things I'm going to do. Identify my practice focus. This might be like, what's one thing that I'm going to practice today? And this would be my practice pitches. Define a mastery in my own terms. So mastery is your ability to operate at the highest levels, frictionless, with great force, with great universal energy, but clear and crisp delivery and execution. Love that. Super cool. Set a simple daily rhythm. So a daily rhythm might be like you have wellness, mindset, mindfulness, craftsmanship, fitness, health, awareness, contribution, dedication. It really comes back to my framework for the creator framework that I have over here. I'll come back to this in a second. This creator framework that I have, it reminds me of this. So this to me is like my daily flow. If I can connect to the things that are most important to me, I can keep improving my scores. Now, if I go back to my plan and I'm thinking, okay, I set a daily rhythm, check, establish a basic feedback loop. So I'm going to say that Monday and Friday and Sunday are my feedback loop days. And these will be days that I follow up with my team. And dedicate time ahead. And integrate pillar exploration. So all the pillars, the 12 pillars that we have and we're operating with, they each have a certain area of focus. So if you find out yourself every week and you're trying to get better at something and you're not getting better at it, you probably need to score yourself to see where are you scoring low in your intentionality and your thinking. You might not be aware that you're actually scoring really low in a certain topic, in a certain area, and you probably need to improve that area. For example, let's say your people relationships are not going so well. You're doing really good with the tools, you're doing really good with the systems, but your people relationships they're pretty crap. And you need to be able to understand, okay, why are they crappy? What kind of engagements am I having? Maybe there's an issue with how I'm showing up in those meetings. Maybe I look tired. Maybe I look unmotivated. Maybe I look something. Maybe I got something on my face. I don't know. But you need to know what those things are so that you can reassess, realign, and head over and be like, what's going on in my network? Where's my mentors? Where's the feedback loops that I need and that I need to improve in my sessions and my moments of growth? That's what's all about with scoring and practicing. So if you haven't done your score yet, make sure you get your score. That way you can know where you need to be focused. So my strongest thing is ambition. My bridge first, that I need to get better at my determination so that I can go into this. And I just recently scored. I gave myself really low scores so that I made sure that I am focused and I'm working on certain areas. So I come back even to my plan here. Now I need to continually think about, okay, how do I integrate better pillar exploration? If I do my score and I know that determination is something I need to work on, how do I develop determination? It comes from necessity. It comes from really wanting something to be better. So I'm going to be determined to get it. Why do I want it? Maybe I want financial freedom. Maybe I want to give a better life to my family. Maybe I want to give a better life to myself. Whatever it is, it can be the thing that drives you. And I'm just going to write family. There we go. So I have my system. I have my plan. Now I can share this. Obviously, I can share with my friends, my different groups of people. If I have different family members and different people that I can share this with, I can download it and it opens up a TXT file of the files. And I can even examine this plan, and it's going to examine some other actions and things that I can do to get better at this. I can favorite this, so it's going to be at the top of my practice there. And this is just a template that you can do here. Let me actually copy all this down and I'll share it with you in a TXT file. This is just an example of how you can use this experience to work through, and I can come through, just start working through these things, bring some awareness into what it is I'm trying to work through and trying to create. And so important to make sure that you're building practice that you can know that you're going to be getting just better on a regular basis. So today we talked about different ways to look at your growth, look at your practices. And I just really want to encourage you as you're setting up for this next window of practice schedules, know that everything that you do practice-wise for the rest of your life, know that you're going to come in at certain levels. You might not be a pro. You might not know everything. That'd just be like ridiculous to think you would know everything. But what you can know is how you want to show up in those moments, what kind of energy you want to bring into the moment, how you want to learn, how you want to develop yourself, and how you want to be present for this moment. And I just think practice is one of those things that it is fun to get better at something. You start off as a novice, you can get to a mastery level. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't get better at something, and don't let anybody ever make you feel dumb for starting out at the beginner level, because we all start out at beginner levels in different areas and different things in our lives. You want to do something, you want to get better at it, you can practice it and you can learn how to practice it. You can deconstruct it. You can learn how anything is practiced and then get better at it, whether it's a football route, a baseball throw, the way you swing the bat, the way you swim in the pool, the way you run in a trail, the way you mountain bike, the way that you communicate to your parents, the way you communicate to yourself. All of it can be a better practice. All of it can be improved. So I want to leave you with that today. I hope you enjoyed the session on practice. Week 5 through 8 are really exciting because we'll focus on design energy, how we organize the energy and design it. We'll focus on design clarity the week after that, and then design productivity, and then design impact. It's going to be great. So we'll work through those 4 Ds on design and then we'll work through the session. So if you haven't yet scored yourself, make sure you go score yourself so that you can continue getting better and continue improving, and then we'll see you back next week. All right, have a beautiful rest of your day. Later. See you.
Every challenge, every test, pulling greatness from the depths. No slowing down now, no turning back now. Light the engine, wake the fire, push beyond what pulls you tired. Move